This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Stephen Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. Our very own Mike Hawk brought this one to my attention. So today we toast Mr. Nandan Kumar from somewhere in India. This is the story. He's a software engineer, all right? And he flew on an airline called Indigo last Sunday. So they didn't actually lose his luggage. Someone else with the same bag grabbed it by mistake, but he claims the airline was not very helpful about it. So he reached out to customer service, as you should do, but they still hadn't found the bag a day later. So what did he do? He decided to hack into the website and find it himself. All he wanted was the other passenger's phone number so that he could call them up and coordinate a swap. Well, the airline wouldn't give him that info for privacy reasons. We understand that. But he dove into the website's code, then used the number on the bag tag to find their contact info. It turns out the person who grabbed his bag by accident only lived 4 miles away, so they met up. They exchanged luggage. He then went on Twitter the same day and tweeted at the airline to explain how he did it, and he said he wanted them to know there's some major holes in your website security. They responded and downplayed the whole thing. They claimed their site was never really compromised, missing the fact that he hacked into it and got his own information. They say the only reason they hadn't found his bag because they labeled his inquiry as a flight info concern instead of mishandled baggage. Either way, they did thank him for his feedback and said they're currently reviewing it. So this dude, he's like, man, please help me find my bag. Like, we can't do that. No problem. Went home, hacked in, found it, done. I like that. Wow. And the reason I like that, I am so technologically unsavvy. I am a barbarian. I'm a savage. I am a caveman. I love it when people can do that and get things done. Because all I do is stand at the counter and scream and yell expletive.
How did you lose my bag?
Yeah. What the? Actually, last time I lost my bags, we'd flown to Philadelphia from here. Actually, we're in Elmira, New York at this point. So I believe my bags got lost. We had to land in Philly first to go up to Elmira, New York. If you don't know where Elmira is, it's because you're a normal person, and you shouldn't. So we get to Elmira. It was a terrible flight. It was a long-ass day. It was right around Thanksgiving is what it was. And we can't find our baggage. There's like 8 people in the airport, right? There's 4 people on that flight. Our baggage does not come out. Like, you gotta be kidding me. So the woman goes, she tracked it down. She goes, man, your baggage is on its way to Phoenix, Arizona. My response was, does my suitcase have family in Phoenix that I don't know about? She did not take too kindly to them. So let's drink. We pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bichola.
You know it's Bad Choice Friday. It's Bad Choice Friday. You know it's Bad Choice Friday. Hey, man, this is your fault.
Damn on.
And today, if you've been on social media anytime today, I'm sure you're very well aware of the fact that it is April Fool's Day. So we did a April Fool's Day inspired Bad Choice Friday. So the choice is what a fool believes from the Doobie Brothers. See what we did there.
You're so damn clever.
Against Foghat's Fool for the City.
You did it twice.
Mike, how was the voting?
It was not terribly close there, Miles. After 144 votes and a 56-43 split, I'm happy to announce that the winner of Bad Choice Friday is not what anybody thought about April Fool's Day, bitches.
You're such a D-bag. Welcome to the weekend, bitches. You're listening to The Men's Room, 99.9 KISW, Seattle.
99.9 KISW. We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Now for all TV news all time, it's time for TV Time with Tim.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
right, your choices today. James Corden.
Oh, wow.
Seth Meyers.
Okay.
The Jimmies.
Kimmel Fallon.
Writers.
Writers.
Ted Smith.
Is it Ted or is it late night?
It's right there. The Finalized guys have teams of talented writers who help them come up with monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom? Or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
Researchers have now concluded that the G spot is actually a zone. It should be renamed the G zone. And yet somehow men still miss it.
Kimmel.
Fallon.
Smith! Let's go!
I thought the same thing. I read that article. I'm like, oh, it's a whole zone. So I just overshot the airport entirely.
Get in the zone.
To me, I was just like, well, why was I messing with sponges? At an airport in Chicago, a drunk man scaled a barbed wire fence, got onto the runway, stripped his clothes off, and tried to stop a plane from taking off. Even crazier, that's how they board Group C on Southwest.
Fallon.
Yeah, Fallon.
Yeah, that's Fallon.
At an airport in Chicago, a drunk man scaled a barbed wire fence, got onto the runway, stripped out of his clothes, and tried to stop a plane from taking off. Yeah, even crazier, that's also how they board Group C on Southwest.
After more than 2 years, the CDC is no longer warning passengers about the COVID risk on cruises. You know, the CDC is tired when they start releasing statements like, do whatever you want, I'm tired.
Fallon.
Kimmel.
Fallon.
After more than 2 years, the CDC is no longer warning travelers about COVID risks on cruises. You know the CDC is tired when they start releasing statements like, do whatever you want.
Man, it just used to be you just pooped yourself for like 6 days. It's never good news there.
Yeah. According to a new study, men who eat excessive amounts of meat increase their risk of becoming infertile. So get ready for that one to be an excuse. Baby, we don't need a condom. I just ate ribs.
Kimmel.
Yeah.
Myers.
According to a new study, men who eat excessive amounts of meat increase the risk of becoming infertile. So get ready for that to be an excuse. Baby, we don't need condoms. I just had ribs.
I've been thinking about this all day. I don't know that I've ever had sex after eating ribs.
It's a hearty meal.
No, I have not.
That's why Thanksgiving is not the holiday where people, engage.
Not after dinner.
No.
Yeah. I'm just like, all right. I don't think about eating barbecue than getting
I think
horny.
ribs have more of that stuff in turkey than turkey does.
Actually, it's in a ton of food. That whole thing about the turkey is kind of a
misnomer.
Yeah, it's your excuse.
Thank you. I was going to say a white lie. Or an old wives' tale. And by the way...
Yeah, ribs is a black lie.
Why were all these old wives lying all the time back in the day?
Yeah, those old wives' tale. Like, what were they up to, man? Did they ever tell you the truth?
Right, I don't really think of women as like a group of people that don't tell the truth.
I don't either.
I do now.
Sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't need the whole truth. Damn, girl.
I've been with one.
And that's always my position, baby. I don't need to know.
All right, so we all heard about Bruce Willis, correct?
Yeah, and it's a shame. What is it called? Aphasia?
The more you read, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of the story. I don't have to give you the details, but right, apparently it's been affecting him for a couple years.
Yeah,
but everybody likes him so much. Nobody wanted to, they were worried about embarrassing him and this and that, but there's...
If you don't know, basically it's like, mentally degenerative, essentially.
Correct.
You kind of lose your ability to comprehend. You might lose your ability to express yourself. In a way, you're just kind of...
You can't express your thoughts.
Right. I mean, and that's a serious.
But it's been a decline, they believe, for over a decade.
Correct, right. So that's the stories are coming out. She was struggling with lines. One was that he misfired a gun on a set.
Jesus.
Yeah, so just all right, and good for him. You know what I mean? Those diseases are so terrible as well because imagine being you're in your body, your mind still works the same way. You just can't voice and get stuff out correctly.
Right. I was going to ask, is it, Alzheimer's, people legitimately in their own mind, things degenerate. They don't necessarily remember. is aphasia. I don't know if you know the answer to this. You're aware of the fact that you can't communicate.
So I think the biggest thing to come out of it within the last couple of days is the fact that, yes, he was up for a Razzie based on the fact that he made so many movies. That came out
7 or 8 last year.
Keep in mind that COVID...
The Razzies did rescind that. They were like, hey, our bad.
And COVID...
They didn't know, though.
And there was a lot in the can from the COVID years that they didn't release until an appropriate time. But the bottom line was that he was taking roles that maybe he didn't even know he was taking.
Well, I'm saying that to Mike. Part of the reason the Razzies rescinded. So, if you didn't know, the Razzies would give out the award for worst acting, worst movie, worst this, worst that. The exact opposite of the Oscars. They gave Bruce Willis this particular last year his own category. In other words, movies that Bruce Willis sucked at, essentially. And he did 7 or 8 movies. They find out he has aphasia. But then they find out more than that a a lot of these directors and co-stars or whatever were aware of this at the time. So when you wrote a B movie, as it were, one way to generate more income is to get a name. So they'd use Bruce Willis for this. So they were kind of taking advantage of his position. So the Razzie said, hey, you know what, man, that is not okay.
And his right-hand man has been with him since the 80s. Mm-hmm. He was getting paid $200,000 per movie.
Right.
Just to be there and kind of hold his hand. And he was the guy that was booking all these movies. So whenever Bruce gets paid. They're not sure where that money is.
Right.
And so he kept signing him up. And Bruce Willis would say to a producer or a director or an actor on set, I know who you are and why you're here. I know who you are and why you're here. Why am I here? And they would say, Bruce, you're acting in this movie. And he'd say, oh, okay. So it's almost...
And you see this often, like, I shouldn't say often, but you see this way too much, right? Like, obviously, Elvis is going to be the most famous version of having a manager who kind of runs him into the ground when he doesn't want to do stuff, right? Like, for Bruce Willis, like, his buddy's still booking the movies. He doesn't even know what's going on. And then, remember the DJ Avicii, like, he stopped touring. He was so depressed, and he's like, I can't tour. Like, I can't mentally handle it. But he was such a big star at the time. The same thing. The management company kept pushing him out, and he ends up committing suicide.
Right.
So when you see these cases, it's just like, oh my God. It also reminds people, like, look, and I'm stealing this from The Wire, like, always follow the money.
As a guarantee.
So you see these cases, like, money. We could talk about money all day, and people go, oh, it's not important, this and that, but it changes things.
Money changes a lot of things. And you're right. Follow the money, and typically you'll find the person who's pulling the strings, right? So,
correct.
And it happens a lot. I mean, hey, there was a guy whose father started suffering dementia, and even though he wasn't really in the will, he convinced his father or forged documents, whatever, and ended up getting the big lump sum, if you will.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, right. It's sad to see, and especially with Bruce Willis, because, like, people like Bruce Willis, and I mean, that guy's like I hate to use the word icon, but right?
No, he is.
Because, I mean, you have TV Bruce Willis with, was it Moonlighting? Right, and then you have all the iconic movies and this and that. I mean, Die Hard alone puts him on. That
launched him over the top. But even when they did, like, the Expendables, you know, Sylvester Stallone finds all the old action stars, and they make kind of funny, fun movies with that. And Bruce Willis has been in 1 or 2 of them. All right, same kind of thing, but he brought him in because people like him. And they know what they do.
Even in Pulp Fiction, right? You always think about Travolta, but Bruce Willis's character in that movie is awesome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sad story there. All right, let's see. We were talking earlier about old wives' tales and this and that. Well, sometimes grandmas have have pretty funny lines, and Fallon had a whole thing about grandma lines.
My grandma texted me LOL after my cousin got hurt. She thought LOL meant lots of love. It was like... My grandmother would constantly call rubber bands by the wrong name. In the kitchen, you could hear her say, open up that drawer and hand me a rubber for your pawpaw. My grandma would order water with no ice because she didn't want the water, to be watered down. That's how they cheat you out of the water. My grandma came to visit me when I was in college. She was 95 at the time. When she met my guy friends, she told them they better all treat me right or she would haunt them. That's a good one. Everybody. When we would ask Grandma how she was doing, she would respond, I'm not buying any green bananas. We have a friend named Pablo, but Grandma couldn't remember his name, so she just called him Pecky. And that became his new name. My grandmother regularly said goodbye with some advice. Be good. If you can't be good, be careful. If you can't be careful, name it after me. There you have it. Those are tonight's show hashtags.
You got some, big weekend coming up if you're a sports fan.
Yes.
Also, honestly, what a wild March.
How so?
Well, you have the NCAA tournament, right? You have St. Peter's making it, to the Elite Eight. Then,
sure.
I think you can make the argument probably the wildest offseason in NFL history.
Yeah.
Yeah, significantly speaking, yeah.
Baseball had to go through their stuff.
Right. Baseball almost didn't play. I'm trying to think what else was it. It was just a wild March in the sports world.
Crazy to see the NBA teams kind of switching in a way as far as who the powerhouses are now compared to previous years. So as you're coming down the stretch, you see the fall of the Lakers. You see, Milwaukee's still a solid team.
Right. Milwaukee's the reigning champ.
Portland,
They're still,
unfortunately, not good.
Portland's not good, right? You have Kevin, and that was a classic last night with the Bucks and the Nets. I mean, Kevin Durant just, he rimmed that one out, or you're going to another overtime. But yeah, just a wild March. But generally, the best thing about March is the basketball tournament.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we'll have the Final Four going on. The first game is Villanova versus Kansas.
Any insight on this as far as what you think?
Well, I'm worried about Villanova, Miles. They got a player hurt. Justin Moore.
Mm-hmm. He's probably from DeMatha.
You're damn right he is.
Okay.
How did you know, Miles?
I just figured if you know the upside of a 19-year-old man, then you probably went to DeMatha.
I know. So that's the problem. And I want to say Villanova, another one of their players got hurt. So, look, Villanova still has a very good chance. I mean, they're an awesome program.
Sure.
Jay Wright's a phenomenal coach. But, yeah, when you lose a couple of your top players, you're like,
what happened to him? Do you know?
He tore his Achilles at the end of the Houston game.
Yeah, I mean, right.
There's you're not quick rehab.
He's not going to come back.
That sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second game, you have North Carolina versus Duke. Now, this is, like we were saying, the best rivalry in college basketball. There's a lot of good ones, but this one goes back years. They are 8 miles from each other, the campuses.
Okay.
So it's very, each other.
Yes.
But they've never actually squared off in the NCAA tournament.
Which is crazy. I just would have assumed
right.
Yeah, how's that?
You would think somewhere along the line they would have squared off at least in a final or something. But there's a lot of years they're both number ones.
Where is it?
That's the issue.
Where are these 2 games being played?
Nolens.
Oh, so those teams can both travel realistically.
Oh, yeah.
And put a fan base in the
yeah.
stands. That is it.
Correct.
That is what they call an East Coast drive. It might be 10 hours, but they don't care.
I told you my brother did a 15-hour drive this morning.
Yes.
Dude, I'm telling you, look, you can like college basketball. You can say, it's not important. It's not. It's not about that. This is about being entertained. And I would say these 2 teams playing each other in this particular scenario is insane. It will be when Russell Wilson comes back to Seattle with the Broncos.
And it's also
it would be if Tom
Coach
Brady
Hayes.
could go back in time and the year he won the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers to play previous Tom Brady against New Orleans. I mean, it's legitimately.
Right. And Coach K, this is every game could be his potential last game, right? He's announced he's done after this year. And listen, I said this earlier. Both things can be true. I very much respect Duke's program.
No doubt.
I respect what Coach K has done.
Yep.
It's even, they got the O'Day kid over there. It's become almost okay to like Duke again, as opposed to when I grew up hating them. But also, as much as I respect their program, this and that, I'm still not cheering for Duke.
If I own people I respect who I also hate.
Right. That's
it. You don't hate a loser.
Yeah,
you always hate a winner.
Yes.
It was never I hate the Cleveland Browns. No, I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sure.
Because they're better, a lot of
unless
times
you just
the
have
Ravens.
a deep down hate for a terrible club like Tottenham. They're easy to hate even though they don't win. But yeah, the Final Four will be on tomorrow. I want to say 3:09 will be your first game. That's Kansas Villanova, and then tentatively 5:49. If I had to guess, we tip off for the second.
That sounds like a random guess. 5:49 sounds like a complete guess to me, Ted. Yeah.
Just by the way, on the Jinx, Ted, the last time you mentioned a local team playing in action, they actually won. Since that point in time, they have lost every game.
Oh, the Kraken?
Yes.
I know. I'll be there tonight.
Do you want to tell everybody who they're playing? Because that's what you did last time and they won. Come on.
Oh, they're playing the horses.
Yeah, they're playing Vegas, right?
See, think about it. Mike.
God damn it!
Get back to
this chest crack.
I think
you just won't let it go.
I think the reverse jinx is going to work.
I hope so.
Let's
well,
hope
look,
so.
I wear a knockoff Geo jersey. He's not even on the club anymore. So that's got to be worth something.
That's why it was knockoff.
Spill beer on it.
Chili Peppers fans, they'll be the musical act on Fallon, but they'll be the only thing on Kimmel.
Okay.
So if you like the Chili Peppers, I suggest you watch it.
Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. You are listening to The Men's Room.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go. A college professor decides to call the cops when 2 students show up late for class. And yet another woman ends up in the hospital for refusing to pass gas. A construction worker is let go from construction site after dropping his poop from a crane. In New Jersey, a cow walks up to a neighborhood mailbox and goes insane. And a shirtless man screams at a goat before peeing on a 9-year-old boy. It is time for a headline.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's Mike Hawk.
Top story, we go to the UK where a man took badly to heartbreak. He had met his girlfriend on Tinder and the pair hit it off. Or so he thought. Not long into their relationship, she decided that it was time to go their separate ways. You can imagine that he didn't take kindly to hearing the news, and that is why his now ex-girlfriend came home to find her home trashed, including her shoes being filled with baked beans and canned spaghetti.
Well, that is the move you make.
Oh, yeah. Did you not see the pictures of this, Ted?
No.
It's disgusting. He straight up poured baked beans into her shoes. Yeah.
That's what he did.
She moved in with a relative while police were investigating the incident, and the boyfriend was arrested. Come on, gang. We can do better. In other news, a man in Glasgow was arrested for having a bad moment. Not much is said about his intentions for his bizarre rampage, but he stumbled from a convenience store and trotted across a busy highway, causing several motorists to swerve to avoid him. His journey led him to the field across the street where he was witnessed harassing the sheep that occupied it. Shortly afterward, he stumbled to a nearby car, ripped open one of the passenger doors, and urinated on the occupant, a 9-year-old boy.
Sounds like a regular day in Fremont.
I don't mean to laugh, but
right?
the fact that you opened someone's door to pee on their kid sitting. What is wrong with you, man? It's not okay.
The thing is that I read this story thinking, like, okay, what's the drugs? Him stumbling across, like, maybe he was drunk, but I don't know what he possibly could have ingested that would make him stumble across a road, harass a bunch of sheep, rip open somebody's door, and then pee on their 9-year-old kid. There was nobody driving upstairs.
I have done a lot of drugs. I've never had that compulsion.
No. Yeah. To Dublin, where a crane operator was removed from the worksite for dropping something. The operator actually shared the video to social media of the joys of working a crane, in which he procured a red and blue baggie that was filled with his own waste. He then used the crane to lower the feces, cackling all the while, until it splatters on a nearby roof right next to the skylight.
Yeah.
Leaving a mess behind. After catching wind of the incident, he was removed from the job and barred from working on any job sites in the area.
That'll happen. That'll happen.
Crane like one of these cranes we're seeing over here?
Yeah.
All right. That's a long way.
That is a long way. Now, it did say that he lowered it, but then it splattered on the roof.
Right,
so
it kind of fell off the...
There had to be one moment there where he just went ahead and just took the thing down, so...
That's so gross.
That's disgusting.
I mean, that's just brutal.
And nobody's ready for that.
No.
I mean, I get it. I can just run a hose on my roof. But doggone, man, now I got your poop all over my roof. I don't want that. I had to ask if I was reading a headline repeat here, but it actually happened again. A woman shared a TikTok about her trip to the hospital for a stupid reason. She was taken to the hospital after, to have her appendix removed after she had caused it so much damage simply because she refused to fart in front of her boyfriend. She's doing okay, but it feels like as good a time as any to just say, guys, if you need to, let it fly.
Just fart. Jesus Christ,
We all do it. Like, I get it. It's a little bit embarrassing, but if you guys are in a serious enough relationship where you're spending that much time together,
you gotta fart.
Break the ice and the wind.
I didn't even click on that story because I thought it was a woman from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I'm gonna find now. Like, stop it. Fart. It's okay.
I checked several deals and I asked people, it's like, what was the name of the gal that had to go to the hospital for it? And VD was the one that stopped. He's like, no, that's a completely different story. I did the same thing. So, don't hold it in, guys. Just
I mean,
go.
if it's that bad, like, you try to be nice, but if it's that bad, like, all right, I'm just going to fart.
Exactly.
Or do what I do.
Walk
Nobody
out the room,
ever,
walk outside.
right, open the slider, nobody will notice.
Just fart. Somehow.
A college professor in Georgia is making headlines for his way of dealing with a couple students. In a story that was shared on TikTok, the professor had enough from a couple of students and called police to have them removed from the class. Their crime? They were 2 minutes late to class.
You pay for that.
Right.
You're the customer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're a student, but you're the customer.
Right.
You're paying money to go to. You can make the choice of not going to class.
You know, whatever you want.
Paying for the tuition.
Exactly.
So that is not a crime.
No. I agree. I don't get it.
People have lost their mind.
But that is it for your headlines. With that, Mike Hawk is out.
More Men's Room on the way. Please join us on the Odyssey app for the Men's Room Happy Hour that's on the way next.
Yes, indeed, it's all true. But in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch for 180 seconds or so. So until then, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.